Hi guys, I'm Gabby and welcome to my channel if it's your first time here, and if you're returning, thank you so much and welcome back. I know here on my channel I talk a lot about the process of getting your loved one, getting yourself or your loved ones here to the United States, the process, the paperwork, all those things, USCIS, NVC. Those things are very important to get you here, but I also want to talk about life thereafter. Like me and my husband, we have a lot of stories and stuff that we can share with you about the experiences of going through life in the United States, especially for that spouse or family member or loved one that's here from a different country. I wanted to talk about, life after once you get to the United States, how to help your spouse get ready for that. There's going to be trial and error. They're going to have to adjust, but try to make that adjustment as easy as possible. So this is a few things. This won't be everything, but just some things to think about to help you. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is the Social Security card. Now, if you're in the process of getting a visa for your loved one, and once you get to the NVC stage, the National Visa Center stage, and you're completing the DS-260, there's a question on the DS-260. I believe it's near the end, but there's a question on there that asks if you want a Social Security card made for you. I suggest that you check yes for that, because that eliminates the process of having to go to the Social Security office and get a Social Security card once you get to the United States. Let me slow down. I have a tendency to talk very fast. If you check yes for that, then once your spouse or loved one is approved for their visa, then that automatically generates a Social Security card for your spouse. So it will once they get to the United States, they get their visa, their Social Security card will come in the mail. If you don't check yes, don't worry. You will just have to do additional process once your spouse gets here. That means once your spouse gets here, you will physically have to go to the Social Security office, take all your necessary documents, and apply for a Social Security card. So just simply checking yes for that question on your DS-260 makes it automatic once your spouse or loved one is approved. So make sure you do that on your DS-260. So when your spouse get here, they have that Social Security card. 2 is you want to be able to open up a bank account for your spouse. If your spouse is fortunate enough to have an international bank account from their home country, that's even better, because you probably can transfer that. That'll be easier and open up an account here. But if they don't, make sure they have the necessary paperwork there to open up a bank account here. So go ahead and kind of think about where your spouse would want to open up an account. More than likely, it'll probably be at the same bank that you use, so just go ahead and prepare for that. Thirdly, we're talking about driving. Here in the United States, let's just say most of the states here outside of the bigger bustling cities use cars a lot. Both women and men drive here. More than likely, your spouse is going to want to get their driver's license if they don't already have one in their home country. If they have an international license and the state that you reside here in the United States allows for that license to be transferred, that's even better. So you need to do your research and find out if your loved one has an international driver's license, if the state you reside in the United States allows for those licenses to be transferred, that's better, that's great. If not, go ahead and get ready for your spouse to have to take the driver's test or whatever the specific rules are for your state, to get your spouse prepared to take the driver's license test if necessary and to get their driver's license. Because having a driver's license here in the States, honey, is imperative. You're going to need to get to school, get to work, run your errands. Y'all know the drill. Also, you want to make sure that your spouse brings any personal identification things with them here to the States. Birth certificates, marriage certificates, school records, medical records, all those documents. Make sure your spouse brings them from their home country to the United States. They may need these things to help them conduct their business here. So make sure they have all those things with them. Also, you want to make sure your spouse is prepared for their new home. If you're coming from a tropical country or a place to a new environment, maybe it's a little bit more colder, make sure your spouse has a warm coat. They have clothing that will keep them warm or clothing that will keep them cool, whichever is necessary, or both, because a lot of the states here in the U.S. have have several seasons. They may have all 4 seasons. So make sure that your spouse is aware of that and prepare for that. Have that conversation so they'll know. They won't know exactly until they experience. I have stories of my husband coming from a warmer climate here. His first winter here was it was funny. But yeah, just having that conversation to kind of prepare them for the environment that they're coming to. Keep those lines of communication open. So, like I said, they'll have to experience it for themselves. But, talk about those things. Like, when you get here, people behave this way, or people may behave that way, or it's cooler in this time of year and warmer this time of year. We have a lot of bugs and, mosquitoes, or it gets humid. It's a different type of heat. Have those conversations, because that's very important for them to have an idea of what they're coming to. Or if they had the chance of being able to come and visit you, let them be able to visit during different times, different seasons as well. Just get them prepared, And speaking of preparing for your environment, when you get here as well, I would suggest that you don't limit yourself to that particular community that you're from. Of course, you're going to want to seek out those things for your loved ones, so they have a more comfortable transition. Like, for example, for my husband, I knew he loved his food, so I went ahead and I found a grocery store that provided the types of foods that he loved. Find a restaurant that we could visit, just in case when we don't want to cook, even though my husband loves to cook. If he didn't want to, it'll be a place that we can go that served his food. Just looking for the things that remind them of home, so that it'll make the transition easier. But on the other side of the token, you want your spouse or your loved one to kind of put themselves into the actual community that they live in. Get to know some of your friends. They'll probably start meeting more friends when they start to work. We'll talk about work in just a few minutes. But embracing themselves in the community, take them around so they can learn their cities, the museums, the parks, just get involved in the activity. That's another suggestion that I did. I took 2 weeks off when my husband got here, so we could become tourists of our city, go around, see the different things that the city has to offer, so your spouse can get to know the environment that they live in. That's very important as well. So now we're talking about jobs. You want to set realistic expectations. Your spouse may come from a place where they may be able to transfer their skills. Maybe they're in IT. Before they get here, you may want to look at opportunities to help them find employment. It's even better if the company that they work from is global and they are able to maybe apply for a transfer. That would be an excellent setup if that is possible. But if not, start looking at things that they may be able to do, skills they may be able to develop. Maybe they have to go to maybe a temp agency to starting out. Maybe they have to do volunteer type things to start out. Or maybe they have to go back to school to learn additional skills or trades. Whatever that looks like, start doing your research to figure out what it is that your spouse needs to help set them up. Having realistic expectations means that if you have to start from the bottom and work your way up, then do so. Don't feel like that's beneath you. Have an outline, have a goal, have a objective or idea of how you want your career to look, and go and pursue it from there. If that's taking job agencies, if that's doing part-time work, if that's volunteering, if that's going back to school, go ahead and start preparing and planning for that. So also, you may want to go ahead and seek out a resume expert. I know there's some resume formats that's used abroad that isn't something that we typically use in the US. I've seen a lot of foreigners put their pictures on their job resumes. That's something that we don't typically do in the US. So just take a look at their resume and tweak it to fit for the industry that they're seeking out, as well as for the format that that particular industry uses here in the US. Those keywords, all those things that the applicant tracking systems would seek out. Here in the US, just go ahead and set them up to make sure they have a good resume, have a resume that's formatted specifically for them here in the US for their particular job industry. So you can go ahead and work on that now. And then we will talk about languages. English is not your first language. Try to start to practice those skills more. If you and your spouse, say for instance, you and your spouse speak Spanish, you may want to start incorporating English more so in your conversations, so that can help build up their English skills. So whatever you can do to practice so that it'll help eliminate the language barrier as much as possible if there is one. So the name of the game is just preparation, preparing yourself for when your spouse or loved one gets here to make their transition smoother. Of course, there will be bumps in the road. Nothing is perfect. We have to set realistic expectations, knowing there's going to be some challenges, but whatever things that we can eliminate and make smoother, let's go ahead and try to get those things in order to help your spouse or loved one once they come to the United States. You know your loved one, you know their things that they like to do. What's their typical day in their home country? Do they like playing soccer? Do they go to church? Do they just like watching movies? They have a favorite food? Just start researching those things. See if you have it here to make their transition easier. Of course, you know, they're going to have to immerse themselves in their new environment. It can't be like how it was exactly back home. We're in a new environment now, so that's going to call for change. So they need to be open to this change. So start thinking of ways you can slowly introduce them to new things in their new environment, things that you think that they may like. First, start off with the things that you love, like share those things with them, and then start sharing other things. You want them to immerse themselves in the culture, so they may find out what's their new favorites, you know. I hope this has been helpful. If you have any other things that you have done that maybe helps you, please leave those in the comments below. That can help others as well. If you have not subscribed to the channel, I ask that you subscribe as well. Speaking of leaving comments, if you have any suggestions for any additional videos that you would like to see here on the channel, please leave those in the comment section below. If you're still in the process of bringing your spouse here on an immigrant visa, I'd love to know about that as well. Leave those in the comments below. We can talk about that as well. I'll jump into the comments and start chatting with you guys as well. I enjoy doing that. And don't forget to like and share this to others who you think may find it helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Bye.